as we migrate to the end of the year, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. I still believe that we have 2 more increases in interest rates over the next 3 months before we enter 2024. And it's still going to put downward pressure on the average median buyer. I think it's going to market them out of purchasing power. And I think our average median home price is still going to get compressed a little bit lower. So in spite of everything that the feds are saying, Yahoo News, CNBC, CBS, and all the big major networks and what's being publicized in the market today, I want to rebuttal part of this and give to you guys an explanation of what the housing market really looks like as we migrate into 2024. Now, there's some unique variables that the market is encountered with right now that is affecting single-family residential dwellings, and the predominant one is the very obvious. It's interest rates. And I went back because I wanted to historically look at what interest rates have done in really healthy markets over the course of time. Really my career, the last 30 years of how we've migrated through this. And in some extremely healthy markets, if you look at where interest rates are today and you take just like 2004, 2005, 2006, and you do them in an alignment, you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the residential market, along with economic stability, is still more favorable today in spite of what's happening congressionally, in spite of what's happening with the feds, in spite of what's happening with inflation and high interest rates. If you look at it statistically and in real numbers, today really doesn't look as bad and as doom and gloom as it feels like it looks because of what numbers have done in the past. Because we've had extremely healthy markets in the exact same number frames in regards to interest rates and inflation and pricing of single-family housing and even the commercial sector, but we're getting deemed. And here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to kind of explain this and unfold it over the next 10 minutes as we migrate through this video. One of the big things is that right now we're comparing the market to where we were just 2 years ago, but we're not looking at a status quo over the course of the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and even 5 decades, and where things have kind of migrated economically. The pandemic artificially stimulated the economy, and with over $9 trillion that were entered into the market during the pandemic that the feds landed up allowing the Federal Reserve to print capital and money on, it has artificially stimulated the economies. That money had to get absorbed. It allowed lending to get really loose because when that money is printed, they can lend on that money 10 times over. So when you take a look at $9 trillion that entered the market, they can lend on that. Banks can go in and lend on that, and it pushes interest rates down, it pushed lending down, and it artificially stimulated the market in a way where things just looked absolutely unbelievable. But here's the caveat to that, is that when interest rates go down so far, purchase power becomes more desirable and people start purchasing things at inflated valuations. We should have never been purchasing at those inflated valuations. See, I look at things historically. In 2018, when we were at sub 6% cap rates, I knew at that time that cap rates and interest rates were getting pressed and leveraged because I was comparing it to market data that I was looking at from the late 1990s and also what we looked at based in 2008 and where we were in 2008. And so one thing that I knew in 2018 is that we were already compressing our cap rates and hitting our valuations that already superseded where we were at the height of the greatest market and the greatest economy that the US had ever seen. And so once we start surpassing that, I knew that we were putting ourselves at risk. You were putting yourself at risk. But a market like that brings and bears superstars in the investment world when the market continues to just rise. And right now, the market's sitting at a place where it's saying, we still need inventory, we still need purchasing power, we still need single family and multifamily homes, but yet money is super expensive. And part of the problem is that people, like they do, again, like Americans, we over-leveraged ourselves. Investors have done it. And investors and small business owners are going to be the ones that feel this recession the most. Now, in spite of the fact that I don't think this recession is going to be as bad as most people make it out to be, I still believe that the commercial market sector is going to get plummeted for a short time. We have about a 2-year window, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe that brutality of abuse into the commercial market sector is still not as bad as people are making it out to be. Now, as far as the single family market investment sector, I think we're through the worst of it as we sit right now. Now, if you think that the feds are going to come in and they're going to start plateauing interest rates and they're going to reduce basis points as we migrate to the end of the year, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. I still believe that we have 2 more increases in interest rates over the next 3 months before we enter 2024. And it's still going to put downward pressure on the average median buyer. I think it's going to market them out of purchasing power. And I think our average median home price is still going to get compressed a little bit lower. Hence, I tell folks, don't leverage yourself into single family median homes. If you're an investor and you're buying, this is still the time to go out and get a single family median home at a lower price. And the reason why is because we're at an 8% reduction in single family median home prices month over month from this time last year, comparing July to July, August to August, and now as we migrate through September, I'm curious to see how September looks. And if the market data and what's happening through the National Association of Realtors really comes into fruition the way we're expecting it, we believe that September is going to be exactly the same, showing that median home prices are still going to be reduced. But the caveat to it is there's still no inventory in the market, putting upward pressure on builders to put single-family spec homes into the market according to the National Association of Home Builders. According to the National Association of Home Builders, we are still in a press for single-family homes, and the only builders that are going to be able to pull the inventory press out of where we need homes is going to be single-family spec builders. That's what we're in the market in right now. I tell people, spec building is okay. Although in most markets, spec building sometimes looks to be more of a risk, it isn't. Because once you get and migrate outside of the median home, there is so much need for housing right now that those spec builders are going to land up being the winners in this market sector that come out of this mild recession in the single family house market. Now, let's look at this from a macro perspective, okay? Not a micro perspective where we're looking at it locally. Let's look at it at a macro perspective. Right now, land prices are continuing to rise in spite of single family home prices getting compressed by 8% in the median homes. And the reason why is because land itself, ladies and gentlemen, is still lower today than it was at the height of the market in 2005 and 2006. Land values still haven't met or exceeded land value prices and land purchase prices and sales prices in 2005 and 6. We are still below the highest land trade prices that we have ever seen in our country. We are still below that. And because of that, land prices are still creeping up until they hit or exceed the land value prices and where they were trading in 2005 and 2006. So know that when you're purchasing land right now, that the land value prices are still below the highest threshold that the country has ever seen in those 2 years. And because of that, land prices continue to go up. Let me give you a little bit of data that I pulled up that will help you guys no matter where you are. Let's say, for sake of example, that you're in the Northeast, as far north as New England. The average medium spec price for land up there is $180,000 per lot. Okay? Extremely expensive. But the single family home prices for spec homes are pushing in excess of $800,000 and even going as high as $1.1 million. Now, the Pacific, the West Coast, the average median lot price is $150,000. So still substantially less than New England and the far Northeast by $30,000 variance in the Pacific Northwest and the Pacific West Coast. Now the mountain areas, the area that I'm sitting here right now. So if you're in the Rockies, you're in Utah, you're in Colorado, you're in Wyoming, you're in New Mexico, you're in Nevada, The average median lot price in the mountain areas is $81,000, which is what we're experiencing. We're seeing lot prices on the high end for single family high-end median homes as high as $130,000, and there's some exceptional lots that are more than that, but the average median is $81,000, and we're seeing house prices trade between $650,000 and $850,000 at that price range. Now, the Eastern North Central, $71,000. The Middle Atlantic is $66,000. The West North Central, $65,000. The West South Central, $58,000. Okay, so that's where, if you look at commercial real estate, you look at single family residential real estate, the land prices kind of reflect the same variable and the skewed metrics that you're seeing down south. That stuff's not going to change. Housing is more affordable down south in the southern areas of the country than they are in most other areas. Now, South Atlantic, $50,000. And East South Central, like Florida, ladies and gentlemen, $45,000. How can you go into such a solid market like the Panhandle of Florida, Orlando, Tempe, if you go into Clearwater, and all the areas just outside of the Orlando corridor, and buy land for $45,000. Now, those median homes, those upper median homes that fit our market sector are selling for about $650,000. Where even here in the Rockies, homes are selling for, those exact same homes are selling for closer to about $750,000 to $800,000. So ladies and gentlemen, land prices are skewed across the country depending on where you are, but still extremely affordable in comparison to where we were in 2005 and 2006. So what I'm telling you is, right now is a great time to buy land, build houses, and generate profits in the strong six figures, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be teaching this year in November at the Build Wealth Summit, because it's one of the most profitable areas of home building and construction, over fix and flipping, over wholesaling, over all of these other areas and strategies. Single family ground up construction is where profits are getting crushed right now. And when I say crushed, not getting crushed and compressed, people are crushing it financially and making big gains in those market sectors. So ladies and gentlemen, right now, focus on the upper median. Don't focus on the lower average median home. Upper median is where profitability is. And as we migrate through this miraculously crazy market, in spite of it looking like we're in shambles going into high interest rates and people getting crushed, we are going to feel the tension in the commercial market sector for the next 2 years. But don't be surprised if we've already weathered the worst in the single family market sector, and if you yourself start seeing large profits and inflated values in the single family market sector as we migrate through this crazy commercial crash, we start seeing residential start to climb. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this content and you want to be notified with more content just like this, then click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But never forget to crush and smash that thumbs up button. Give us a little bit of love, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time on YouTube. I'm gonna recommend 2 videos on how to go out, buy land, build houses, our step-by-step process of how we actually migrate through building houses from step 1, and it's a 25 video series. Don't miss it. Click below, click above, but just click. We'll see you next time.